be allowed to die peacefully. And I think even having that option would, as long as I choose to stay alive, would make me a lot happier in that situation. Just because I know I can end the suffering if I have to, if it gets too much to bear. And there are two cases that I remember that really, I guess I was always fairly sympathetic to euthanasia, but two cases where I had to say it's just not humane. It's just cruel not to let certain people end their own lives. And the first was the case of a French woman who was fighting for euthanasia, who had a facial tumor. And as you can see by that image, this was, it caused her tremendous physical suffering, and it deformed her to such a degree that obviously she would not have been able to function in a social setting in the everyday world. So and clearly this cancer is terminal, and everyone knew this cancer was terminal. She was going to die, and she was fighting for her right to die in France, and she never achieved it, so she died as a result of her cancer. But I don't see why she had to go through that extended period of suffering to be allowed to finally pass away with doctors administering their treatments in total futility, with no hope of ever actually having her recover. And the other case was an Australian woman, again, who was fighting for her right to euthanasia, who had, I think it was a cancer of the intestine. It could have been a stomach cancer. But basically what happens with this cancer is it blocks up everything, and then eventually your stomach contents and your bowel contents will start to just rise, and people will actually suffocate on their own fecal matter and stomach contents. And yeah, this was at a stage with her where she was definitely going to die. It was at a stage with her where she was definitely going to die in a very, very nasty way. These people are condemned to basically either kill themselves in some way that would possibly incriminate whoever provided them with the means to do so, or to go through all of this agony. And I don't think that's right. I really don't. I think that a lot of what I as a humanist care about is stopping suffering. I don't like suffering. I really don't like it. And I really like people living lives that are happy. And I don't want people to end lives that could potentially be happy. So I don't want young people to commit suicide over whatever perceived problem they have, if there's a good chance that later on they will be happy. But for people that have no real hope for ever regaining any quality of life that will make them happy again, I think it should be up to them, not up to anyone else. It should be up to them, and them alone, how they want to end their lives. And all of those medicines we use to keep a lot of those people alive, we have the medicines to make their passing be a humane experience rather than a torment. And I think if we choose to disallow doctors from providing them with the humane option, then the torment is on us as a society. So, whatever you think of Dr. Kevorkian's possibly maverick ways, I think part of his legacy and the legacy of people like him in a lot of countries, it will happen anyways. We will give people the choice to end their own lives one day. But if we don't do it today,